G'day YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to the Day's Toy Review. And today we're going to be taking a look at one Flip Flop toy product, which is in fact a very big shame because obviously, mind you, if we don't have that many Flip Flop toys or non-Flip Flop toys to review, man, this is a crying shame. It just goes to show you of how much of a shortage am I actually suffering. But we've got 4 train sets. We've got one wooden train here running on its own Seoul Railway set. And then I've also got Thomas, who's also straightforward, running in its own set. And I can tell you what, my voice box is nearly going to die, because I can tell you what, guys, even though when I'm still making these types of videos, much of my energy coming from me making videos on YouTube has been totally and utterly lost. And it looks like we've got another Thomas the Tank, and we've got a Metro train. That's quite a rare sight to see, which is powered by a C-size battery, and it's actually doing the rounds in one layout, which is actually quite rare to see, but fantastic to know. And I can tell you what, guys, after making this toy review of doing 4 train sets with lots and lots of trains, actually we've got 2 Thomas the Tank engines. As crazy as this sounds, I can tell you what, guys, I'd be dreading. And it almost feels like there's no toys coming out here, but do you remember I showed you these 3 Flip Flop toy cars? Yes, I'm pretty sure we've got 2 crossovers. Obviously, I think that's what they're called. I think crossovers is like a new term for SUVs, isn't it? Or maybe they're just SUVs being treated as normal cars. And I do apologize for the loss of my voice. I'm very sorry about that, because I had to get through some very adversive times, and you know, because I'm actually still sick and under the weather at the moment, so I can't guarantee to you whether I should straightforward, lose my voice for the risk of it. But anyways, I'm going to straightforward review all of these toys. Actually, I'm only going to be reviewing one, which is this toy right here. This one was far by the most recent one I've actually reviewed. Well, actually not reviewed yet, because this thing is a newbie. And I say it as I see it. This car here looks very similar to that Buick car because it looks dark purple. And I might as well just drag and present the other cars and do a slight size comparison about this new toy car. I'm pretty sure it's based on the XT4 crossover from, is it Cadillac? Cadillac, that American car company. And strange enough, we've got like a little purple box. Very cute boy-esque, as you can definitely tell. You can store some stuff inside here. Quite a very cute looking car in so many ways. It's lovely as heck. Beautiful looking thing. One thing I've never noticed is that the wheels do look a little bit loose. I'm off to re-glue that one a bit, which is not that great considering that the quality of this toy, well, it's a little bit substandard. The other thing I've also noticed is that while we have actually got some detailings of rims and whatnot, the wheels look like they've already been painted. You know, it looks like we've got some slatish grey and black integrated with a lot of like that sort of thing. Okay, so if I show you what this car looks like, you can see black. And then we've also got like an extremely dark slatish greyish colour, almost looking like it's going to straightforward slop up the tyre detailing, which is not the best thing I can really say about this car. I'm actually very tired. I'm sorry if I have to do one of those cringe-worthy toy reviews with a bunch of naughty trains, as obvious as this sounds. And there goes Thomas, as you can definitely hear from the background. It's deafening my ears. It makes it very hard when there's loud noises and that sort of thing. But anyways, so yes, this car's name, I'll tell you what his name is. This car here is called Treacle. His surname is, what's it called? Treacle Blackstrap. Because this guy here is named after treacle, which is like a type of syrup. It's all dark, especially in that color, of course. Amazingly, that this car is based on the Cadillac XT4, which is an American crossover car. It's got the logo like you always see on toy cars like this. There's a license plate which looks like that. And on the other side, well, looks very, very much so. And then you've also got some very nice realistic looking detailing of headlights. One thing that really shouts out to me about this car that doesn't really look that great is that we're lacking some door detailing. So that's not how I'd actually classify as a relatively good looking toy. The other curious factor is that the radiator grille does look relatively large, considering that the logo does look very much nicely proportioned. The headlights do look very, very nice. I don't know how wide this car is, but it does look quite a bit big and a little bit more chunkier than the other crossovers I reviewed in previous videos. So definitely looking nice. And actually the color looks relatively hard to tell whether it's dark purple or is it a black crossover. I'm actually not quite totally sure about that yet. But the only thing that stands him out are his green eyes. So basically it's a little bit like a Black Panther on wheels. Maybe. It might be something totally different, or it could be a black sheep on wheels. How weird is that? There you go. Looks pretty nice. I might have to probably add some more glue so that the wheel quality can stay nicely. The tail lamps, as strange as the sound, they're actually located right over at the back and the sides of the vehicle. So, as I can definitely tell, there's also some extra bits of tail lamp detailing right next to the windscreen on the back here. Let's just say this back window here. There you go, we've got a bit of tail light action going on here. It's not the best, but then hey, you know what? Despite being it, I'll tell you what, it was one of the most advanced toys to be ever made. There's a bit of chipping off going on here. It's not that great in terms of its painting, detailing, and quality. Obviously, it's made in the UK and China, and there you go, there's the logo Screamers. It's an XT4, so how would I not even know? But let's give our new SUV kid on the block a bit of a size comparison to the other crossover cars that I've seen in previous videos. So let's do it. And amazingly, the licensing info, or actually the license plate on the back of this car, says GYT, what does it say here? It says 3279. Quite a very weird license plate number for that reason. I don't know why. But let me just compare the other crossover cars. And it seems like that September has been a month of SUVs and crossovers, which is actually quite fairly interesting. Let me just grab the red one here. As you can see, this one here is actually a lot much more taller and a bit bigger. Well, actually, this one's not as wide as the red one, but a lot much more taller. In fact, it looks a lot much more heavy-headed and a bit thicker looking than this one here, because I can definitely tell how tall this SUV is versus the red one. And if I put it right behind, there you can see there's a bit of a very strange difference. Now, there is something I actually don't like about the red crossover SUV. Well, I actually totally forgotten its name. It's Troy. Okay, so it's Troy Blazer, who's literally based on a Chevrolet Blazer electric vehicle, I think. The one thing I really don't like about this vehicle here versus more so than that one there and that one there as well, I actually prefer these two, because that crossover there looks a bit more of an abomination, because I can definitely tell of what you can see here is a bit wrong. What I mean by wrong is definitely by the cab. So that cab design is a little bit too, well, let's just say a lot more small. It's a bit small. In fact, it's way too small. You know, on a real car, you often tend to have designs which look more like that. Okay? Look how the cab windows are actually closer and approximately asymmetrical and well aligned versus the red one here. So this one here, the design is fairly too wide, let alone for the fact that the cab is also way too small because it's an origami box. Straightforward folded again and again and again to make some sort of slanted design to make way of it being a car's cab sort of design here. Obviously the cab is obviously quite relatively small. In fact, it's way too small. But yet again, that's straightforward as it is. It's a bit of a gripe thing, but then hey, how would I not even know? The other curious factor about this toy car is that if I look at the other car, the most recent one, who is of course Treacle, you can definitely see that this logo here, the Screamers logo, is actually more printed, whereas those two SUVs here are in fact a lot much more in the way of being detailed. And if I show you Trixie's logo like this, hers is straightforward custom painted. Troy, he's got a much more custom logo. Strangely enough, the logo can appear grey, and at other times it can also appear as a solid colour, transparent wise. But nevertheless, hey, it does look very nice to know on doing various size comparisons of various SUV crossovers. Fantastic and beautiful to see somehow at this point. And as strange as it sounds, it does look like that treacle is a tad a little bit wider and a bit taller than Troy, but then hey, how would I not even know? And actually works well with Trixie because, as you can definitely tell, oh sorry for the farting noises, treacle does look very much the part. It's sort of nice somehow. I do like, I know it's quite a bit oversized for an SUV crossover, but nevertheless, hey, it looks quite nice to see treacle as the new car on the block. I do love the beam mount feature, as always, as I can definitely tell. Oops, sorry, I nearly had a car crash. Looks very, very nice, doesn't it? I do like the way that this car has been rendered, apart from the wheels. And also, I mean, you know, there's quite a few things. I think the wheel, the detailing on it, it's not that great. But then, hey, how would I even know, or not even know? But, you know, that's just what it is. It's a fairly nice looking toy in so many ways. I mean, I can't put up so many gripes on this toy. It's wonderful. It's an absolute must-have. I'm sure it will be, especially towards Christmas. The headlights are also nicely dynamically detailed. Very modern-esque sort of car design. But then, hey, how would I not even know on the fact that this car looks nicely detailed apart from the wheels, and also, like many crossovers, there's no door detailing, which is a bit of a shame, but maybe on Troy, maybe the detailing here could be the way the door is, by going those crease lines and that sort of thing. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking here. And also, if I look at Treacle's license plate, it's also much wider, but also a bit longer. In fact, it's a bit much more longer, but actually fairly much more shorter at the same time. And also, look how small that box is. In fact, it actually is very similar to the other car. I've actually forgot its name. Is it Amber or something? Oh, it's Amber Ubel Ramirez. So that's actually quite a nice car design. I'm actually fairly much looking forward to make more car models like that somehow in the future. But hey, how would I not even know? Because I can tell what those guys say. Making lots of toy cars are certainly profitable, but hey, it certainly pays a huge price to pay for, because hey, when it comes into building vehicles, it can be very much not only expensive, but also, hey, can also be quite hazardous at times. Often picking up lots and lots of rubbish and cardboard can be straightforward, dangerous and unsafe, not only because of pathogens and germs and bacteria and viruses and other diseases and whatnot, but also it costs a lot of money. And I think that's also one of the most death-defying things about building vehicles. But nevertheless, hey, tell me what you think about Treacle Blackstrap. Is he good? Is he bad? Please let me know. I think I'm straightforward done over with all of these toy reviews. I feel like I need to give these things a complete break. So if you really enjoyed in this video, please give this video a very good like. So come on for that toy reviews in the future. And I'm really sorry I have to straightforward put up here with a nasty sore throat, because I could tell what that guy say, my voice has been croaky again. But anyways, if you really enjoyed this video, as always, thanks so much for watching, and it's time for bye for now!